Oh, Malaysia, Malaysia. Where do I even begin with you? On one hand, you're filled with fantastic food, a rich heritage, and an inimitable culture. And then on the other hand, you have this.
You nak gaduh dengan saya? Ini time.
So instead of your typical feel-good video, today I want to show you little slices of what makes Malaysia, Malaysia. Hello everyone, it's Greg from WapCar, and this is a short story on what I think it means to be Malaysian.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight.
I'm pretty sure when anyone thinks of what encapsulates the Malaysian experience, it's food. Lots of it. From hawker stalls to fine dining halls, Malaysians will eat almost anything. But in staying true to reality, we're not going to be sitting down for a multi-course experience. Instead, we're going to be grabbing some roti at a place called Valentine Roti. Now, more than just an ordinary mama, it's known over the years for their fluffy, soft roti canai and their signature dish, which is the Valentine Roti. Think of it as a supercharged roti sardine with carrots, onions, cabbage, and tomatoes. So, why feature this place? Well, ask most Malaysians what their comfort food is, and there's a very good chance they'll tell you it's either nasi lemak or some sort of roti with a glass of teh tarik. In fact, I would even go as far to say that our comfort food is food in general. I mean, we're willing to put up with insanely long queues at odd hours sometimes just to satisfy our craving for food. But you ask us to stand in line or queue in traffic, it's a no-go. But ask us to wait for nasi lemak or wait for roti, not a problem. And speaking of queuing up for things, here's something that I'm sure most city-dwelling Malaysians are very fond of: sitting in rush hour traffic. So while we're here, let's dive into car culture and why I think cars play a very, very big role in our lives. Now, without getting into the politics of it all, let's just say that the public transport system can stand to benefit from some improvements. And because of that, most Malaysians prefer private transportation. You know, be it the ubiquitous Kapchai or Myvi, if it gets us from A to B, hassle-free, without any trouble, fuss-free, we're all for it. And I reckon, historically speaking, there's no bigger contributor to our car culture than the car we're in right now. This, the Proton Saga. It is, after all, the nation's first car, and by default, it's the longest running and best-selling nameplate with over 1.9 million units built over a span of 37 years. Now, the first Proton Saga rolled off the assembly line on the 9th of July 1985, and the first buyer? None other than then Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. And ever since then, the Saga has been exported to as many as 28 countries worldwide, including the UK. I reckon the Saga is to Malaysians what the original Volkswagen Beetle was to the Germans, or even to a certain extent what the Vespa was to the Italians in the post-war era. All were designed with one core mission in mind: to mobilize the general public. And while it may sound like the Saga is very bare bones, it's basic, and not very good to drive, in truth, it's actually anything but. For a daily driver, ride quality is the priority, and the Saga delivers. I mean, most bumps, such as that, rough roads, they're ironed out very nicely, and at higher speeds, body control is just as good. There's no wallowing in the way it steers through fast corners. I mean, even NVH levels are pretty impressive. WapCar's own testing yielded a 70 decibel rating at 110 km per hour. What else? In the interior, we get leatherette wrap on the steering, semi-leatherette seats, and a 7-inch touchscreen for your infotainment system with smartphone mirroring. All in all, it's a pretty decent interior to be. I mean, you can't expect full-on luxury, but for what it's worth, it's good. It's good. And since we're on the subject of driving, if you're on the lookout for scenic routes, Malaysia is not short on those either. There are plenty scattered throughout the country, but I've got a couple of favourites that you can do within a day. And one of them is the drive up towards the Sungai Selangor Dam in Kuala Kubu Baru. The drive takes just over an hour from the heart of KL along a trunk route towards Fraser's Hill from the town of Kuala Kubu Baru. Now, along the way, you will encounter some roads that may seem a bit daunting, but if you take it easy, you'll be treated to a nice set of flowing corners. And as you close in on the dam, breathtaking views. And in true Malaysian fashion, we've gone from hot and sunny to a downpour in less than an hour. In any case, if you stop at one of the designated lookout points, I can guarantee you that you'll be whipping out your phone to frame your car in no time. So, a little bit of background on the Sungai Selangor Dam itself. Completed in 2002, it was part of Phase 3 of the Sungai Selangor Water Supply Scheme. The project sees the construction of a 110-metre regulating dam with a capacity of 235 million cubic metres. All in all, it ensures enough water supply to over 7 million residents living in KL, Selangor and Putrajaya. Just like that, we are back in KL to check out some of the lesser known attractions. Some of them even hidden in plain sight. I mean, of course, sure, yeah, there are popular ones like Batu Caves, KL Tower, the Petronas Twin Towers, Central Market, but I want to show you these hidden gems instead. Beginning with the Vivekananda Ashrama in Brickfields. Built in 1904, the institution was commissioned by Jaffna immigrants in honour of Swami Vivekananda. He was an Indian Hindu monk who was largely responsible for spreading Indian philosophies to the Western world way back in 1890s. And also, he was a major driving force behind nationalism in colonial India. With education being a priority in line with the Swami's mission, today the ashrama is managed by a trust which also oversees 3 Tamil schools and 1 secondary school. Another point of interest is the Zongshan building. Built in the 1950s, throughout the years, it has been a residential space and home to a family-owned butchery as well as the base for the Selangor Zongshan Association. It was even a hostel for foreign workers in the early 2000s. Today, it's a vibrant, thriving F&B and arts hub, and tenants here include cafes, bakeries, exhibition spaces, bookstores, record stores, and even a tattoo parlor and a tailor. Actually, come to think of it, the Zongshan building and its tenants is the perfect microcosm of Malaysia because you've got a good mix of old and new, and everyone from different backgrounds, all parked under one roof. So there you have it. From getting a plate of fluffy roti, to sitting in traffic, to a blitz just outside of KL, and then stopping by several points of attraction. All these small elements are what I think makes the Malaysian experience that much more unique. Because it's not about having the biggest, or the brightest, or the newest, or the flashiest. No! I think the real charm of Malaysia lies in how easy it is for us to connect with our food, our heritage, and our culture. If only we paid more attention to it. See that old building over there? It's got a history, a story behind it. The same goes for that roadside hawker that's been operating for decades. I can guarantee you the stories they tell would be fit for a TV adaptation. So get out there, hit the streets, talk to people, look at your surroundings. Who knows? Maybe you'll learn a thing or 2 or 3 about that old building you walk past every day. And on that note, we've come to the end of today's story. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Do subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Selamat Hari Merdeka and Selamat Hari Malaysia. What does it mean to be Malaysian?
Being a mixed pot of cultures and traditions.
That I can speak 3 different languages in 1 sentence.
For me, being Malaysian is very colourful in terms of food, culture, I think activities like you see, being Malaysian itself is creative enough.